As I've delved through history over the course of years, I've come across a lot of stories of how people have lived, and a lot of how they've died. The former gets a lot of interest, but the latter also deserves special focus. We don't really know how we will react when confronted with death. Some people panic, some deny it's happening, and others accept it. And yet others face it with a grim determination. Let's look at a couple stories of these. Strike, man, strike! Those are purportedly the last words of Sir Walter Raleigh as he was about to be executed for his apparent treason to the English crown. In reality, as Churchill states in his History of the English-speaking Peoples, Raleigh had been imprisoned at the beginning of the reign for conspiring to supplant James by his cousin Arabella Stuart. This charge was probably unjust, and the trial certainly so. By all evidence, it seems rather dubious that Raleigh was indeed a traitor. He certainly didn't die like one, or at least not like a coward. Those words were meant to urge on the executioner, the headman, when he hesitated to strike him down. In an age of gallantry and adventure, Raleigh displayed what economists would term a revealed preference, or rather, he walked the walk and talked the talk. At least he died well. Of a similar era to Raleigh is King Charles I of England. A Catholic monarch, he managed to drive the Protestants of England and his own parliament into open revolt. The civil war between him and the parliamentarian forces would not go his way, and he would ultimately be tried and given a death sentence. This was rather shocking to many. Most had expected him to be deposed and retired out in the country somewhere with an annual pension to keep him happy. However, the Puritan government, under the soon-to-be dictator Oliver Cromwell, would decide that Charles was simply too dangerous to be kept alive. He would be a standard behind which the Catholic scourge could gather, you see. On the day of his execution, it was quite chilly. King Charles would request that he be given 2 coats so that his trembling from the cold might not be mistaken for fear. At the scaffolding, he would tell the bishop present, "I go from a corruptible to an incorruptible crown, where no disturbance can be, no disturbance in the world." Then he spoke to the executioner. "When I put out my hands this way, then stay for the sign." The soon-to-be dictator Oliver Cromwell would respond that the execution was a cruel necessity. The English would soon regret the regicide they had committed. "Pardon me, sir, I meant not to do it." Those were the last words of Maria Antoinette after she accidentally stepped on the foot of the executioner. Her husband had been executed months earlier, and her 8-year-old son had been stolen from her. She was a broken woman who had been thrown into a show trial and duly convicted. For thinkers like Sir Edmund Burke, her execution by the French revolutionaries was a sign that France had indeed gone off the proverbial cliff. As he stated, "In a nation of gallant men, in a nation of men of honor and cavaliers, I thought that 10,000 swords must have leaped from their scabbards to avenge even a look that threatened her with insult. But the age of chivalry is dead." There are other stories of men and women who faced their deaths, I suppose, well, if there is such a thing. But these particular ones caught my attention, and so I thought, in my own small way, I would memorialize them. Have a good day.